Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're literally strapping in for the ultimate collision of science fiction and modern military tech. I'm super excited to guide you through this because we're going to break down the actual, real-world architecture of modern defense. We want to see exactly how close our reality is getting to the movies. If you've ever watched a huge sci-fi epic and thought, wait, how far off is that technology really? Well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to map out the blueprint of tomorrow's warfare step by step. So let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat. Is the defense tech company Anduril building a real-world Skynet? I mean, it's a question that instantly grabs your attention, right? It's this perfect pop culture anchor. But look, in this explainer, our goal is to completely strip away all that Hollywood sensationalism. We're going to objectively examine the structural realities of today's defense tech. We'll be looking strictly at the actual data, the architecture, and the strategic philosophy that's actually driving companies like Anduril. Okay, let's dive right into this architectural blueprint. In the fictional world of the Terminator, Skynet's whole objective was to integrate global military sensors. We're talking drones, defense systems, communications, all to make combat judgments way faster than any human possibly could. Now, compare that to Anduril's real-world lattice AI platform. The core engineering goal? It's actually remarkably similar. They want to aggregate vast amounts of battlefield data from a ton of different sensors. The point is to achieve a speed of situational awareness and decision-making that completely outpaces traditional manual human analysis. And this underlying goal translates into a very specific operational flow. Let's break it down. Step 1. Data is seamlessly gathered from widespread battlefield sensors. So think maritime systems, radar, defense facilities, all feeding into one giant network. They're processing literally millions of data points a second. Then step 2. All that massive amount of raw data flows up to a human commander. But here's the catch. It's already been synthesized by AI into a clear, actionable model of the situation. Finally, step 3. Based on that AI-clarified picture, the human decision-maker directs the unmanned swarms. You guys, this represents a massive permanent shift in military strategy. We are actively moving from a strictly human-centric force over to AI-managed machine swarms. The Lattice platform actually allows a single human operator to manage numerous autonomous vehicles all at the exact same time. We're talking autonomous drones, unmanned aircraft, unmanned boats, and even specialized counter-drone systems. Strictly speaking, managing a vast coordinated army of machines from a centralized intelligence hub, well, that's a concept pulled straight out of the Skynet playbook. It's all about multiplying force through networked automation. Moving on to section 2, from metal to code, the philosophy of modern defense. Now, this is where we really need to shift our thinking, because the true revolution we're witnessing right now, it isn't just about the physical hardware on the battlefield. It is fundamentally about the software connecting it all. On one side, we have legacy defense. Traditional defense contractors have historically focused their massive budgets on building giant, incredibly expensive, exquisite hardware. Think massive tanks, destroyers, advanced fighter jets. But modern defense completely flips this paradigm on its head. It's a deliberate shift toward mass-produced, cheap, AI-networked weapons. As we've seen super clearly in the recent realities of the war in Ukraine, a $1,000 drone, when combined with AI image recognition and decentralized attack patterns, can easily take out a multi-million-dollar legacy asset. Crazy, right? And that perfectly illustrates this overarching point. The strongest weapon isn't a giant machine, but the intelligence connecting everything. This right here is the core philosophy shared by both the fictional Skynet and the very real Anduril. The entire center of gravity in global warfare has permanently shifted. It is no longer just about who has the thickest armor or the biggest engine, it's about who has the smartest, most resilient code. The network itself is the weapon. Which brings us to section 3, the pivot, the self-awareness boundary. So, up to this point, I know, the operational similarities have been incredibly eerie. But here is where we hit the brakes. Because there is a hard, decisive boundary that separates our reality from a sci-fi dystopia, and that is artificial general intelligence, or AGI. AGI is an AI that actually possesses self-awareness, desires for self-preservation, and independent, self-generated decision-making goals. This is exactly what Skynet is in the movies, right? A self-aware entity that formulated its own goals and then decided, hey, humanity is a threat. And that is fundamentally, entirely different from the AI technology being engineered today. The difference in logic here is literally night and day. Skynet operates on existential AGI. I exist, humanity is a threat. It's very dramatic, it has a real sense of self and independent motivation. Anduril, on the other hand, operates strictly as a narrow decision support AI. Its output is just cold math. It basically says, target is 85% likely enemy, please authorize attack. It doesn't have self awareness, it doesn't have its own goals. It is simply a highly advanced analytical tool that absolutely requires human authorization and human agency to actually act. To ground this in actual computer science, think of military AI as climbing an evolutionary ladder. Stage 1 is just basic AI analysis. That's kind of our current baseline across a lot of industries right now. Stage 2 is AI command and control, and that is exactly where Anduril's lattice sits today. Stage 3 involves autonomous swarms. This is currently in heavy research with some partial real-world deployment. Then Stage 4 would be a fully autonomous military AI, which is honestly still well into the future. And finally, Stage 5 is that self-motivated AGI, like Skynet. So the really crucial takeaway here is that structurally, Anduril currently sits safely around stages 2 and 3. We are a very, very long way from stage 5. And that brings us to our final section, the climax, building the real military ecosystem. Let's zoom out for a grand finale here, because the truly fascinating reality is that if a massive, structurally Skynet-like system is ever built, it is not going to come from a single startup working in a vacuum. It's actually built as a highly fragmented technology stack. Think about it. For global resilient communications infrastructure, you have SpaceX and Starlink. For the raw AI computational power required to process all this data, you've got NVIDIA. For massive battlefield data integration and intelligence, you're looking at Palantir. And then for the military AI command and drone hardware, you have Andoril. When you integrate the distinct technologies of all these corporate giants, you create a real-world military AI ecosystem that is highly advanced, highly networked, and, thankfully, entirely non-sentient. It represents a monumental shift in how global defense actually operates. Which really just leaves us with this final crucial question to ponder. If all these tech giants continue to integrate their capabilities, what does the future of autonomous defense really look like? We've seen today that the structure of modern defense is rapidly shifting away from heavy metal and moving toward intelligent code. We're going from isolated human units to networked AI-managed swarms. Now, while we absolutely do not have a self-aware Skynet on our hands, which is great news, the technological convergence happening right now between data, compute, communications, and military AI, it's reshaping reality faster than fiction ever could. It's a deeply fascinating structural evolution, and it's definitely one you're going to want to keep your eyes on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, never stop questioning what's on the horizon.